列车与月台之间的空隙 Please mind the gap between the train and the platform.
Thank you for tuning into Haldanes Law Matters, a podcast where we have conversations about legal developments in Hong Kong. This podcast is brought to you by Haldanes, a Hong Kong-based law firm experienced in serving the needs of clients, both in Hong Kong and throughout the Asia Pacific. Established in 1975, the lawyers of Haldanes have an extensive collective knowledge of legal practice in the region. The firm has a strong reputation across all of its practice areas, and its excellence has been acknowledged by various awards bodies.
Joining me in this episode is Elsie Liu, partner with Haldanes in Hong Kong. Welcome to the show, Elsie.
Hi, how are you?
Good to have you on. I'm very well. Elsie, before we start, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and your practice?
Okay, I'm a matrimonial lawyer and I am a partner of Haldanes law firm in Hong Kong. I've been a matrimonial lawyer for since 1995, so that's quite a long time. And this is my specialties and I enjoy doing that. And I think that apart from work, I also have a lot of, make a lot of friends with my clients. So actually, I do that. That's what I do.
Fantastic. You're definitely one of the more well-known matrimonial lawyers in Hong Kong, shall we say. So really happy to have you on the show. Obviously, this series we're talking about divorce, and this episode we're going to be focusing on mediation. Now, mediation, that's a term that's been bandied around for many years now in Hong Kong. What is mediation in relation to divorce?
Well, actually, I think that the trend of the divorce has now changed due to times and the development of the society. Instead of the very old-fashioned type of divorce is that, you want to bring your ex-partner to the cleaner, But this is not the approach that we're now taking at the moment, definitely not the approach that the judiciary would prefer. So therefore, mediation play a very important part in the divorce proceedings, in particular matters regarding children. It is almost like compulsory or mandatory that the court would encourage the parties to seek mediation. I am also a family mediator, a qualified one. The role as a family mediator is to assist the party to try to come up with different options to resolve the differences instead of going to court. And I will act as an independent party to help the parties to communicate and also to reach an agreement. But in addition to that, I would like to have given the opportunity to the parties to learn how to communicate with each other, in particular when there are children involved, is that they will continue to be able to communicate or do co-parenting after the divorce through the mediation process.
It's definitely a good trend to move on to having, less confrontational and more cordial, isn't it? In particular, when there's children involved, promoting mediation and divorce would you say that's a really positive step for Hong Kong?
Absolutely. I think that because the judiciary is now loaded with cases, and to be honest, despite that they have many judges sitting in the family division, still there's a lot of work, a lot of cases. Therefore, I think that it will help the judiciary and definitely more beneficial to the parties involved, in particular the children, that their parents are able to reach an agreement. I've always said to my client that if you go through a litigation regarding custody, the relationship between the parents are almost gone. There's no way that they can reconcile as parent in that regard. And this done no good to the children at all.
When is it appropriate to mediate then? Would you say every single divorce case should just go through mediation?
Well, Let's put it this way. I think that whether the parties are able to reach an agreement through mediation, it all very much depends on the intention of the parties. Some parties have a very good and good faith intention to reach a settlement, then of course, definitely go ahead and try mediation. For people who may find it difficult to communicate with the spouse at home, it's also a good venue for them to try to resolve this out of court. However, of course, I do come across clients who have no intention whatsoever to settle, but just to make the process very painful for the other party, despite spending tons of legal costs. If that's the intention, then I'm afraid that mediation is not going to help.
These things do happen, so I guess
it's
the reality of the world we live in. Mediation on paper sounds amazing. So maybe it'd be good to talk us through the processes so people actually know what they're getting into if they decide to go on mediation.
First of all, I think that both parties would have to agree voluntarily to participate in this process. Of course, the court, if you go to court, the court is going to encourage you to do that anyway. And then both parties are going to jointly appoint a mediator. And then the process will start by way of the mediator. For me, there are different models. The model that I adopt is that I would have individual sessions with each party and try to obtain background information and also understand their concerns and try to work out the agenda and things which are in common, things which are going to be in dispute. And then thereafter, I'm going to have the joint sessions and try to lay out all the issues that need to be resolved and help them to reach an agreement. Once the agreement is reached, then I will draw up the mediation agreement and they would sign it. And of course, alongside with mediation, the parties can and actually should also seek independent legal advice before they get into or agree to any settlement terms. The other thing is that the whole entire mediation process is going to be without prejudice and confidential. So this is a very special feature that would encourage the parties to talk and freely express their view without the concern of being repeated in court. And so that you can talk to the other party very freely without, worrying that the lawyers or the judge is going to know about it. So if there is an agreement, that's great. If there's no agreement, what's being said and what documents being provided are going to be kept in the file. So I think that that's also encourage the parties to openly discuss things that they may not be able to if it is in a litigation setting.
You mentioned you're a mediator.
A family accredited mediator. Yes. So we have to attend courses and also did cases before we got qualified. And I've been a family mediator for over 20 years already. So yes, and at the same time, because of my profession as a matrimonial lawyer, it does help me. But of course, I need to make it very clear to my clients that when I'm a mediator, I put on a mediator hat instead of a lawyer's hat, because I'm not supposed to give legal advice, because I have to be impartial. But it is also beneficial to me and also to my client, given that I know the law, because I practice the divorce law every single day, that I know what's going to happen if they were to go to court. Therefore, I will be able to give them some insight that they may not know and tell them that actually it is much better and preferable to settle it during mediation than to go to court.
From your own experience, the parties that go through mediation, the success rate, is it high? Once the mediation's over, that's it? Let's say there's joint custody or something, or sole custody, and doesn't everything go back to court?
Yes, in a way that the court process is going to be non-contentious, in a way that the mediation agreement is going to convert into a court document. And then the court is going to approve the terms and make an order in terms of it. And then it will then become a court order. So there will be no more procedural process for the court to assess or look into things and make decisions. So it's a very different approach. So the entire divorce process is going to be paper process only, instead of having the parties to provide for the information, attending courts, having lawyers to argue in courts, stuff like that.
Right. So in layman's terms, would it be fair to say the mediation takes away all the nasty bits? And so when you do go to court, you just have to
that's the beauty of it. Yes.
Right. Sounds great to me. Sounds great to me. Now that's all the time we have for today for this episode. And Elsie, lovely having you on, and thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, listeners, for listening, and I look forward to talking to you on our next episode.
請勿靠近車門，請不要靠近車門。Please stand back from the doors.
Thank you again for tuning in. And to find out more about Haldanes, please visit www.haldanes.com.